thank you, welcome. We'll get started. This is part of an online training series that we have been doing with Murray Regional Tourism. We did do a session on online booking systems a few months ago, and today it's all about customer service and how we can create world-class customer experiences for your tourism business. So I can see we've got quite a different range from small tourism operators to regional tourism organisations, marketing organisations and council on the call. So great to see you and welcome you all. And I trust you will all get some value from the content I have prepared for you. So just before we begin, I wanted to just go through that this training is being recorded as we speak. So for anyone that may have registered, things come up and may not have been able to get on the call, as long as they've registered, they'll get a recording, and the same will be for you guys. So if there were staff members or someone that you may have benefit from what you're about to experience yourselves and what I'll share with you, you can share that recording. Everyone is on mute, so don't feel that in any way, shape or form stressed that anyone can hear you. Everyone is on mute. You are welcome to come and have a chat with me, and I can take you off mute. But for now, everyone is on mute, and please ask, interrupt me, share at any point of the journey. I will be looking at my panel for any questions, comments, feedback that you have. So please just jump in. The more engaged we are, the better the hour will be. So that's just some general housekeeping there. So let's get started. So I guess what I've prepared to go through today by way of introduction and before I do the overview of the content, some of you that we may not know who I am, this is me, Despina Caratius. So hello. It is a little bit weird when we can't see each other. But just to give you some feedback and some background, my experience in tourism for over the last 15 years has always been with small business and small operators. So I was part of the Kendall airline journey and helped form their holiday department. So we sold holiday packages to regional destinations around the country. I certainly, from Kendall, we know Kendall was a subsidiary of Ansett and is no longer is Ansett, for those of you that can remember them. Since then, I have also really done a lot of played different roles within the industry, from cruising to hospitality, having worked at Crown Towers. But I guess where my heart lies in terms of small business operation was spending over a decade really building and growing and going through the journey and the transition of just embracing all things digital and new age with leading hot air balloon operator, Global Ballooning in Victoria, that runs flights over Melbourne and Yarra Valley. I loved my decade journey at Global, and it really inspired a lot of change, a lot of learning and a lot of growth in myself, and I did write a book about it just to share that with other small businesses really that are either looking to start or having the same or similar challenges that I had over that course of time. So the transition was exactly a year ago. Today was my last day at Global, and I really love sharing. I love learning. I love to empower and elicit change and development in businesses. So I am the only tourism e-kit licensed accredited trainer in Victoria, and it has certainly been a wonderful journey imparting on that knowledge with the many small businesses around the state. And just last week had my first opportunity to go and do some mentoring in Central Queensland. So even just from my learnings from speaking to a lot of businesses there, certainly has translated into what I've prepared for you today. So Institute of Excellence is where I'm from, and again, I thank Murray Regional Tourism and all of you guys for being with me today. So our time together today, we're going to go through the evolution of the customer experience. Now, a lot of that I touched on being the digital journey, and a lot of the evolution that we're going to talk about is that transition into how the customer really, what role they play in how they search and the type of behaviour that they experience before they go and make a commitment to book their experiences. So we'll go a little bit, I'll go through a little bit of that. Delivering world-class experiences. So I'm a great lover of researching companies at the top of their game. So I'll share some of that information with you. And I'm certainly a great believer of modeling. So when we look at excellence or achieving excellence in any way, shape or form in our businesses, our careers, in our personal and professional development, I really advocate to go and look at who's doing it the best on a global scale, and what we can model and what we can learn from them. So I'll be sharing some of that, some of those resources that I've come to learn along the way. We are in the customer perception business, and I will elaborate on that a little bit further down the track of our hour together. And just look at the benefits. We'll end up on looking at the benefits of setting up a customer service vision and look at some examples of, again, what world leaders in customer service are doing in terms of setting, we've all know or may have looked at your, setting a mission statement and your company values, but certainly I'd love to just get down even more specific into what does it mean, what vision do we have for our customer experience. And I do like to refer to us, our customer service. We're in the business of providing world-class customer experiences. So we're all good. I'll check in, see, no questions, comments, anything to share. We're all good. We'll move right along. Okay, so the evolution of the customer experience. What does your customer want? So if you've got a pen and paper at the ready, I don't have time to let you kind of really explore this right now, but I certainly would love for you to start with a blank piece of paper and just really go until you've exhausted every thought and every experience you've had of your customers about what do they want. What do they share with you about what they love? What is it? What is the problem that you solve? Certainly, in working with a range of clients, particularly over the last 12 months, I see it time and time again that we need to get out of our own head. We need to take our own marketing hat off and really put their hat on and tap into their psyche. So what do they want? So, and what are they thinking? What do we ask of them? Do we follow up and seek feedback? Do we, do we ask the question? And what do we know from our own experiences about what they want? And another great way to look at this is then how you can relate it to with a problem that you solve is that when you can finish off the statement, only we transfer passengers out to the Yarra Valley, just to give you an example of say, my time with Global Blue. Only we. What do they want? And then what are the what are those situations and challenges about what they want that you solve? Okay? Now, in terms of when we're talking evolution, word of mouth was king. It still is the king of all kings when it comes to how we get our business. It's very powerful. There's no better credibility than someone else saying how good you are or the experience that they've had. But what certainly has changed particularly over the last decade, is the number one way of how our customers are searching for travel. And not only that, just overall, how our customers are finding us, sharing our experiences, and really either shouting from the rooftops about what a wonderful time they've had, or the other side of the spectrum, where they're sharing their grievances. So this has really changed the landscape of, word of mouth is king, to really becoming, it's the word of mouse. So in terms of how things have really transitioned into today's customer journey, is that, and it's just going to keep growing. I mean, we saw it, the internet, it was the first step of the journey, but certainly as we move now, we have, with the likes of social media, the likes of review sites, we are really vulnerable and exposed, and our work is cut out for us to really go above and beyond in being customer centric businesses, especially in our industry. Okay, so the evolution of the customer journey starts with, I guess, it starts with inspiration. So research really shows us that travel consumers rely on anything from social media to video sharing. I mean, we see that Google is number one in terms of, the way our customers are searching for us, but video and YouTube is number two. So we're really become, when we're talking sharing economy, I think we're just even in the infant stages of that. It's only going to get bigger. So search engines for our customers and your customers and my customers is really the first trip for inspiration. So what I'm sharing with you in terms, when I'm going to share a lot of research over the next 10 minutes or so, this has come from a study that Google have done over the last few years, that they've commissioned to an independent research company, and it's really for us to get a better understanding of the customer journey and the role of the internet in making travel-related decisions. And I thought sharing a lot of this research will be really valuable for you guys today. Because really, when we're talking about customer service, I really think they go hand in hand with what's happening in the digital landscape. So the first port of call is inspiration. Now, in terms of what the research is showing us about how customers, how are they inspired? Let's have a look. So travellers agree that they turn to the web early on in the travel process. Now, I always say to clients, and when I'm running these even live workshop, we've just got to think of our own travel behaviours and how we begin researching for our next experience, whatever that may be. So 65% of leisure saying yes, that they agree that they turn to the web, and 69 for business travellers. Now, friends and family and online sources are critical to travel inspiration. So again, when we're saying like 56% is still very much, I mean, look at that, on par now, word of mouth to the internet. Now, family, friends, colleagues offline, I see it all the time. For those of you that are active on Facebook, just this morning, I had another just friend on the feed saying, I'm going to Queensland, can anybody recommend accommodation? It had something like 30 comments. People love to share their experiences, and it's really powerful. So you can see, internet and social media would be making a part of that as well when we're coming to online. Search engine and YouTube are top online sources of inspiration. Absolutely. So social networking, video, 48 sites, 83%, and is really, half of that, or over 50% of that, is made up of YouTube and Google. Now, something, just as an added value to today, and any opportunity that I really get, it's really to really be making sure that our websites are very much at the forefront of the customer experience that we're giving to our current past and present and future clients that will be welcoming into our businesses. So, and this really supports that. So, online travel videos are very influential in early stages. Now, when we do have another online training scheduled for a couple of months' time, and we'll give you guys some more details about that, and that will really focus on social media. We'll delve deeper. Today we're going to really just scratch the surface, but something else that is the most underutilized tool, I feel, in our businesses, when we really can inexpensively share our story and share our only we uniqueness in our journeys, is using video on our websites, on our social streams, and then having them embedded on your home pages. Even using video as testimonials are really powerful. So if you can see, when travel videos are viewed, this is when, among those who watched, commented on travel-related videos, the most 65% were when they were thinking about taking a trip. Now, that is really powerful. So the majority are watching the videos when they're at their planning stage, looking for inspiration of what to do. And this is where we have an opportunity to establish a gap on growing that customer journey from the very beginning, when they're really planting the seed of what they're going to do, where they're going to go, and who they're going to meet on their travels. So something really important there. But just got to do a little click there to keep moving. Are we all good? Yep. Again, don't be shy to just yell out if you had any comments, questions, or insights to share of yourself. Are any of you using video before we go on to looking at research? Are you guys actively using video as part of sharing your experience to your customers on your websites? No. So not at this stage. If anyone is using that, not at this stage. Okay. Moving right along. So the second phase of the evolution really is what we're talking about, their research, and digital plays a critical component. Digital meaning the path to purchase, and this is still complex, absolutely, but the traveller search activity is intensifying online. It's intensifying because now, of course, you look at Facebook, 11.5 million active Australian users are on Facebook alone. This is a daily user number. So this search activity and looking for inspiration, entertainment, and planting the seed for future travels is certainly intensifying. So what the research is showing us about consumer travel research behaviour. Now, I should point out about this research, this was done between May and June last year by Google. And the study that was conducted was a total sample of 5,000 consumers, travel consumers, 3,500 of those being personal and 1,500 of those being business related. Now, if you wanted to look at this more, the study's actually, you can just go and check this out yourself later if you wanted to take a note. It's Think with Google, the travel study Think with Google. So just to give you the source of where this is all coming from. So the internet is a top source. We all know that, but let's break it down. So when we're looking at planning resources, look at that. When it comes to leisure, 74% of those 5,000 are going into internet, going online, and just a little bit above that is with our business and corporate clients. And then you can see again, offline, family, friends, word of mouth, still important, and then word of mouth, family, friends, or colleagues online. And you see those traditional forms of advertising, although still important, we would never want to devalue the other things, but the pendulum has really shifted, as we can see here. And what else? Search engines are amongst the most popular online planning sources for travellers, particularly amongst leisure travellers. So when it comes to, they're going straight to the search engine first. So whether it's Google, Bing, or any of those type, even YouTube is considered a search engine. I was gobsmacked. Earlier this year, I went to the largest social media conference around the globe, and any Pinterest session, like this was really, like there were about 2,500 delegates at this conference, and any Pinterest session that I went on that would have had about 200 to 300 delegates in the room. Almost every time, 50% of the room would pop their hand up that they would go to Pinterest before Google to search for anything that they needed, whether it was travel, whether it was, piece of furniture. I just couldn't believe in the US how much they turned to even Pinterest as a search facility. Just something to share with you there, that, what we share, what is happening today is very much going to be different 12 months from now. So I really applaud all and each and every one of you for showing up today, just to keep abreast of it all and learn something new, hopefully. So there you go. So search engine remains the most popular for online planning. Now, I always start my travel booking and shopping process with search. So 57% of leisure said that yes, that they did, and 64% of business did the same. Now, they're turning to search engines first versus brand sites. So I found this really, really interesting. So when we look at, say, for instance, overnight accommodation, it's significantly grown in 2014 that of how many are actually going to search engines first as opposed to a branded website. So there's been significant growth in going to a search engine, which would most likely go direct to a website as opposed going to the branded sites, the what ifs and lastminute.coms. So that has the branded sites has reduced. If you can see, last year was 37%, this year 31%, and significantly increased of the just going to generic search, which again plays a role when we're talking about really nurturing your search engine, your content, making sure you're regularly producing new content on your website, your social media presence, and all. I won't kind of digress into all of those type of things, but it's really important because this is what your customer is doing. So when we're talking about customer experience, we want to be there and serve them from when they are planting the seed. Okay, then there's a lot more we can do when they're with us, but we want to be there when they plant as the seed. So what's the first thing what you type into Google when you start to plan? I'm going to make these slides available to you, but again, I can only direct you to your own habits. So here's some more information about when they're using branded, generic over branded. And this is interesting for when we're looking at our own customers and who's going to an online travel, who's booking through an online travel agent versus, other things that they're finding important in booking their experiences. So the third one is that our customers, travel consumers, extend their activities from desktop to tablet. So we're looking at having multiple device access. And I really wanted to take this opportunity with the multi-screen activities that, again, with the customer experience before they come to you, Google in April, for those of you that may or may not have been made aware, they penalise websites that are not mobile responsive. So I'm just going to fly through these to give you an idea of just how much this has shifted into how much our customers are looking for planning and even searching for inspiration when they're at a destination from their smartphone or a tablet. So that is significantly growing, and I encourage and implore any of you that are on the call or listening to this at a later date, if you have not made your mobile, have done a mobile friendly test of your website yet, I would highly recommend you put that on your top of your priority list. And if your web developers haven't advised you of this, this is where we lose customers from the get-go, because if they can't find you, or if they're not having a good experience with you from the very onset of their first interaction with you, so they've found you, they've gone onto your website and they can't read it because it's not responsive to whatever device, they will check out and your bounce rate then will go through the roof. There is a reason. If you just go to Google and say Google mobile friendly test, you can test out whether it passes the Google. It literally will go specifically, will do a scan of your website and will specifically tell you what you need to do. So again, I think it's really important that we look at the customer experience from the very beginning, because you're already on the back burner if they've come to your website and it's not catering to their needs. It doesn't have it's not only whether you have an online booking system or not, but that just aesthetically and the usability isn't there. So that's really important. Questions, comments, just checking in. We're all good? Fab. So travellers go to the same types of sites on smartphones that they do on desktop, tablet, and some more so. So here's just some research on that, which again, I'll give it to you. You can have a look at, travel brand sites. You can see on par. I remember at Global. And that's another thing, guys. If you're not really actively looking at your Google Analytics for how your customers are finding you and what their behaviour is, that just gives you so much insight on how you can serve them better, on their journey to part with their hard-earned cash to come and experience your product. So cross-device movements, early action on mobile influence booking decisions. So here we see that what the research is telling us about cross-device movements is that smartphones are often used for travel inspiration in snacking moments. So in spare moments such as when waiting, commuting, while watching TV. I don't know about you, but you could be on. You can see an ad or something can trigger an inspiration, and you're normally sitting around just like this photo here with everything at your disposal. So we have to think of our customer. Again, when I go back to that mobile friendliness, we have to put our customer hat on and say, how is their experience with us before they've even, they're just in that planning process. And moving across, 75% of leisure travellers switch between services to plan or book, and 80% of business travellers switch between devices. So you can see there's a lot of activity. There's on multiple streams when they're in the planning phase, which I think is really, really interesting. And then there's the mobile in destination. So research. Again, and this study is showing us that this trusted smartphone is the go-to advice for local information when travelling. So has your customer experience even with not only your mobile connectivity, but your, access to Wi-Fi and the like. So travellers, so here's some more stats just on, people generally call on the road, more spontaneous these days because they have a lot more information at their disposal. So you can have a little bit, just keeping an eye on the time to decide on activities. Once at the destination, leisure travellers rely on a mix of sources. So yes, walking around, I mean that, going back to basics, seeing signage, talking, recommending, but going to a website or an app of the destination is way up there, as much as having visibility. And then third, with official visitor guide and books in room house, brochures really rates as well as the top three, which is really great way to come together in, holistically looking at the customer experience when they're, at, experiencing the Murray or any other region for that matter. And yes, to decide on activities, they rely on smartphones the most and overwhelmingly rely on search engines from their smartphones to find local information, via smartphones to find local information. Are you there? And are you prepared? And are you giving this level of customer experience, seamless, beautiful, I'm here to serve you, I'm here to be found? Are they boxes that you are ticking in your business? So hopefully this overview of this really important travel search and just going through that evolution of, just the word of mouth and, let your fingers do the walking. It's, you let your kind of, we're letting our thumb do the walking now, aren't we? It's more of a scroll, and more even our PCs are touch screens and scrolling through. So we need to be prepared. So what we know. Any questions, comments? Again, I will always check in with you to see if there was anything that you wanted to share. Feel free. I'm here. You can just type in your message at any time. So what do we know? You are now the media, but so is your customer. So your customer very much has just as much power as you do when it comes to searching, finding, sharing. They really become, I've got here, they are either your brand evangelists and your ambassadors and your raving fans, or they can also be your brand terrorists or, brand assassination. So this is the type of vulnerability that we have, and we've got to step out our game to really, really make our experiences customer-centric. So yes, it can be the best and the worst. So just to give an overview and a summary, the old paradigm, the customer was really faceless, weren't they? We could say, do, share. We really had control and create the boundaries of what we wanted to get out there, how we wanted to be perceived. And they could, it was not a two-way. It was very much a one-way. So you can see from the key influential leaders, media outlets, all of any kind, and the sources, the newspapers we read, the magazines, like we could advertise pretty much how we wanted to. And I know certainly from my journey at Global, our biggest spend was for a half-page ad in the yellow pages. We made it beautiful and colourful, and we put everything that we wanted to put on there. Completely there's no engagement in that, and how much it's changed as we transition from the old media paradigm to the new media paradigm. New media being that lovely little, stick figure in the middle, being at the center of it. So everything kind of going out from then and feeding back in. So now they very much have the power and the accessibility or the access to so much information that they can really make very well informed decisions about what they're going to do. So as we move right along, Now, I shared with you earlier on in the piece about delivering world-class experiences. Now, there are some companies that I've studied really over the last really 6 years. I've taken a great interest in company culture and customer service and what are they doing at the top of their game. So I'm hoping this will work. So I've just taken 1 minute grabs of people that we've got Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, Tony Hsieh. If any of you have not, I've went to see and I met Tony Hsieh. I read the book Delivering Happiness, which talks all about customer and the customer experience and culture, company culture being at the very heart of your customer experience. And Richard Branson shares the same thing. Look after your people first, and then your customers will get taken care of. Now, if you're a business that's working for yourself and you're a solo, you're running the show and wearing multiple different hats, it goes the same for you. Self-care, look after yourself first as well, and then you're going to naturally look after your guests even better. I would highly recommend that book. It was so exciting when I went to hear him speak and have my own little signature on Delivering Happiness. But anyway, I want to share and go through and share with you now what they have to say and how they've built companies like Apple and Virgin. And I've also shared I've had a long time woman crush on Naomi Simpson for Red Balloon, and many of you may have worked a lot on with Red Balloon, but we were there from global from the very start of when they opened their doors, and just to see the journey of this business. Again, what made the difference was their customer centric everything was about their customer. But I love what she shares. She'll go deeper into really that it's an inside out job and look at how the importance of having really core values ingrained into your business when it comes to looking after the customer. So without further ado, let's hear from them. So hopefully this will work.
And one of the things I've always found is that you've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology. You can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you're going to try to sell it. And I've made this mistake probably more than anybody else in this room. And I've got the scar tissue to prove it. And I know that it's the case. And as we have tried to come up with a strategy and a vision for Apple, it started with what incredible benefits can we give to the customer? Where can we take the customer? Not starting with, let's sit down with the engineers and figure out what awesome technology we have, and then how are we going to market that.
Next one, let's hear from our friend Richard Branson.
Yeah, look, anybody can sell a cup of coffee. Anybody can buy a physical aeroplane, and we all buy the planes from the same manufacturers, so Boeing or Airbus. So, but they're the different stops. I mean, if you fly on the Virgin plane, whether it's Virgin Atlantic, Virgin America, Virgin Australia, you're going to have a completely different experience than if you.
What is the difference, the differentiation between Virgin America and all of these other domestic airlines that we see here? And I know it's more than the in-flight entertainment. I know it's more than the Wi-Fi. I think, in my opinion, it's got to be the customer service. Am I wrong?
Everything in the end comes down to customer service and the people who are serving you, and whether they're proud of the company. And the only way that you can actually have people working in a company that are proud of it is if you give them the tools, give them every little detail.
Is customer service really the differentiator moving forward?
Look, I think that. I mean, all right, let's give you an example. When we started Virgin Atlantic 30 years ago, we had one 747, competing with airlines that had an average of 300 planes each. Every single one of those airlines have gone bankrupt because they didn't have customer service. They had might, but they didn't have customer service. So customer service is everything in the end.
How did you like that? Are you finding these videos valuable? I just love that. Just to hear from that, even with these big multinational, I mean, they started as one person with an idea, but as they've gone along in their journey, customer service is everything. And also that I love what he shares there about people who are serving the customer to be proud of the company that they work for. It's a real difference that makes a difference. If someone is not proud to wear that badge of honor or that uniform or proud of that business that they're representing, what's going to translate to the customer is going to be very, very different to someone that is. Okay, so now with this one, we'll go into Tony Shea now and what he shares. I guess before I share this, I should say with Tony Shea, his business, this is a website that sells shoes. Okay, so it's zappos.com. But they've become more famous for their customer manifesto and their customer service than they have about selling shoes. So it's a really, really interesting case or business case to follow up on. But I guess in what we were talking about, the digital journey, there are some really good insights in what he'll share here about what they do, going back to basics. Have a look.
So one of the things Zappos is famous for is customer appreciation and loyalty. Talk about some of the specific things that you've done that really engender that.
We put our 1-800 number at the top of every single page of our website because we actually want to talk to our customers, and that's how we develop that personal emotional connection with them. The telephone is actually one of the best branding devices out there because you have the customer's undivided attention for 5 to 10 minutes, and what we found is if we get the interaction right, customers remember that for a very long time and tell their friends and family about it. So we don't have scripts. We don't measure call times trying to get customers off the phone in the name of efficiency. We don't try to upsell. We really just try to provide that really human connection and deliver the best service possible. We basically just tell our reps, just use your best judgment. It's not a policy of, if it's over this dollar amount, then you have to get supervisor approval. Really just do what you think is right.
The core values have been absolutely integral to us. Like, I'd read books before about it, but I didn't really know how it applied and what difference it would make. So people often say to me, they say, oh, well, people could just copy your website, aren't you worried about competition? Well, the point is they can't copy who you are. And who you are comes from your values. So what we did was we went back after Vern's session, literally, we're so excited, and we came back and we said, so who are we? Who are we as an organisation? And that time I only had a team of 9, we've now got a team of 43, and we started telling stories. And storytelling is a great way of understanding what your business is and why it's like it is and who it is. And out of that came our 5 values. And our values, the first one is literally just do what you say you're going to do. Just know you can be counted on unbelievably. Secondly is leadership, and that we're all a team of leaders, and that each person here can make a decision, a choice, and know that they're absolutely supported in that. Thirdly is that we're generous. We're generous with our information, our knowledge, and we'll share everything. I mean, it's why I write a blog, naomisimpson.com. Whenever I learn something, I publish it, and it's about just sharing information. It's why we wrote the Little Red Book. It's why I wrote the book. The fourth one is to have fun. If we're not having fun, how can our customers have fun? And fifth one is to be a little dog with a big dog attitude. And that is that we're courageous, we're risk takers, but we'll be nimble. And we'll have a big yap, but we'll call anybody and we will take a risk.
about the video, but I will share that again, like I said. But I guess as a summary of what they said, Steve Jobs, starting with the customer experience and work backwards with the technology. Start with what incredible benefits can we give the customer. Something else that I see with a lot of my clients, everything that they're sharing to about their product or service is about the features. But what we want to get to the heart of and what we want to be sharing is what benefits can we give to the customer and where can we take them? Where can we take them on the journey with us? One thing that I loved most about my experience, even just going on to central Queensland, is it really, really highlighted the fact that we are not in the business of tourism. We are in the business of people. So we're not necessarily in the business of tourism serving people. We are in the business of people serving experiences. So I hope that resonates with you, because after being there, mentoring clients, but also having the opportunity to get out there and really experience the products, what essentially is at the very heart is the people and the story behind them. And that is what visitors will come time and time again. How are you translating that into your story and your experience? So with Richard Branson, everything in the end comes down to customer service and the people who are serving you and whether they are proud of the company. Tony Shea, I love that. We place our phone number on every page of our website because we want to talk to our customers. That's how we develop that personal, emotional connection with them. Personal, emotional connection. We're building relationships all the time. So how is, even I hope today, it's the end of financial year. It's like we're all reborn again tomorrow. And maybe it's time, and I hope this may inspire you to go and review your copy, review your benefits, review how you share your story and your, and translate the heart of what you do and why you do it, your big why. People buy people first. And I definitely, am a true believer of that. Competition can't buy who you are, and who you are comes from your values. So that was what Naomi had shared in that video. There's only one you, and that's what there are many wineries, there are many accommodation providers, there are many, many of the same. Ruby Vale in central Queensland, you have no idea how many sapphire gem retailers there are. I mean, that's predominantly what the business, every business there is. But there is no competition for those people that I met. They all bring such a uniqueness to them, and that, that can never be replicated. So I'd love for all of those unique and eccentric and wonderful experiences that are in your neck of the woods and in your own backyard, that we're really sharing with those. Now, Tony Shea shared about that emotional, personal connection, and I wanted to share with you a real emotional and personal experience that I had in 2012 when I went over to Cappadocia. Now, Cappadocia will remain, I tell you what, a raving fan of this destination. Now, the photo that you see, this is what I shared at the VTIC conference when I had gone over there for the Lynette Bergen Fellowship, and I had very young children. This was my eldest at the time, just under 4. Now, I'm not telling you, the one where she's sleeping, we turned up to this little courtyard restaurant. This is Fatma, didn't speak a word of English. Now, I don't think Fatma would have she's never done any training in her, training online webinars in her life. But the compassion and empathy that she showed for a mother traveling, she went out and got linen and refused to let the children sleep in the pram. But then I found they were all like that. So then you're going in, the one to the right, at a dinner, the waiters come out and they put 2 chairs together and bring out a blanket for the child. It just blew my mind. And it was just this compassion and empathy hear your vision and say, yes, that is who you are. If you have staff members should read your vision and say, yes, that is who we want to be. I love, that's their customer service vision, but they've actually got a wheel of their core values. Very simple, very, very concise. But, anyone that's flown or has followed Virgin, any of their businesses, they really stick to this. It's their nuclear center of how they operate. Okay, so things to consider. Here are some questions for you to consider and take away as some homework for yourself. How do you want to be known? Why are you different from your competition? And what makes you stand out from the crowd? So there's some things to go away and have a little think about. So what we're talking about here is really a mantra for your customers that aligns and is congruent with your values, easily understood, and motivates and inspires you to deliver excellence every time. And so look, this is we're coming to the end. We've gone through the evolution and how the game has really changed of the customer experience. We've covered delivering world-class experiences that were shared from world-class leaders, top of their game on a global scale. Customer perception in business, so customer perception being in the business of really creating that personal connection, empathy, gratitude, sharing with you my experience for Cappadocia. They were just so grateful. We chose them. And it really, any person, any business that I came into contact with was so grateful that we were there. And I guess how you could ask the same. How do I express gratitude to my customers that they chose me? And we ended on customer service vision. Would anyone like to share any key takeaways or even just one aha moment that you might have? Aha moment, even if you have a question, an insight as we wrap things up. Did anyone have, even just one key takeaway that you'd like to share? No, you're very quiet, guy. Feel free. Look, thank you so much. So really loved the story of Cappadocia. You're very welcome. Look, if there wasn't any questions or comments, please feel free. I want to thank you and really appreciate your time and the effort that you've made to stay here and be with me today. Now, if you did have any comments or any feedback, anything that you got out of today's session that you'd love to share, there's my email there, despina@instituteofexcellence.com.au. Like I said, I'm recording this for you guys and I will get it uploaded and off to Shari with the slide deck. I'll pop that on a slide share and you can have that as well as all the links to those videos and the resources for you to have a play with. So enjoy the rest of your day. Happy new financial year. Go and kick some more. Hope you've ended well today and all the best to your success and excellence for the year ahead. Thank you so much, guys. And I hope to talk to you soon and keep an eye out for the next date for our social media. Lots and lots to share with you there. Okay, thanks again. Bye-bye.